something.
Yeah.
You were off
Fist
the
of
hook.
time.
Saved me. Note to self, don't sit here.
What do you think I'm down to?
We just volunteered Kelly.
Unfortunately, I've gone from meeting to meeting today. I'd like to call to order the Town McCandless Activities Advisory Committee meeting. The first order of business is Treasures in the Trunk event. I think Christine, oh, I thought you were calling in.
So, yeah, we have a tentative date of October 9th. I don't know if it's been approved by anybody yet. That's just the tentative date. We've got the parking lot. Val Temple had reserved it for us. I think it's the parking lot up here above where the Heritage Center is. So if we get approval, I'm going to try to get a coffee truck by the wayside is the name of the one that I was recommending to get.
That's a
We
good
back
idea.
on it fast because October 9th is just around the corner if we're gonna do it in October. I don't know if it's enough.
And they
time
just
to
had a
get there.
meeting last night. I don't know if,
It was not brought up last night, but I don't anticipate a problem
Okay.
from our current council at all on something like this. So I would say move forward. Because I know there are other events. October 16th is the EAC cleanup days, and then we're getting late into October. So I think this is our only option.
Or we have to wait till the spring.
Right.
So,
so we're going to plan on October 9th unless we hear otherwise,
I
but
can-
I suspect they will approve that myself.
Yeah, I can send a quick email out to see if anybody has a problem with it, and I'm sure they'll respond quickly if they do.
And then I've got a flyer already drafted up.
Okay.
Good.
Perfect.
To add it to the rec on October 20 or September 27th agenda.
Yes, please.
And you should send your flyer in so that they can post it once it's
Yes.
been approved on the website and get us a little publicity for it. Okay,
Can I-
next.
I'm sorry,
Oh, sorry.
just a couple of other things. Anywhere else that we can possibly advertise, because that's what we're hearing over and over, that the folks who are coming to our events are loving them and excited that we're having them. And just, I'm just hearing, oh, we wish we knew about this beforehand. We wish other people asked us and they were too late. So maybe, I'm gonna brainstorm on this one, but maybe, I know we have a partnership right now. We're involved with the Pittsburgh North Chamber of Commerce, and they do a Monday morning flyer. That's always a nice, easy, free source of information to get to the community.
Does it cost to do the North Journal?
We would probably need a press release going to Tony LaRussa, but maybe we might want to put together
It's a good
a
idea.
press release for all of the October events that John could send over so
Mhm.
that it could get into the journal. That unfortunately, I get the journal from Time, so I never see this one.
I get the North Journal. It's excellent. It has all kinds of great articles. So that's
Yeah, it's
actually a
great for Pine
great
Township, too.
idea.
It is.
And so who would like to check into getting the events put in the North Journal?
Well, I think what we can do is send a message to John Bajarski, who is our communications
Okay,
information
Good.
person for the town, because the Heritage Center is having a few events coming up.
right. I meant all of the events
All of them.
for,
So it would
yeah.
definitely be John who would be our
Okay,
point person. for that.
wonderful. Okay, the Halloween event.
So I tentatively reserved Devlin for the 24th of October. And then I kind of stopped and didn't go any further because of COVID and masks and the chaos in the school district, because this is a kids event. And I just feel like, I don't know what's happening and what's going on. So I'm not even sure that it's safe to move forward with an in-person thing for kids.
Well, it's outdoors, so that helps.
Right. And, we have to decide about masks and, I just kind of felt like.
I think we move forward with it and
atmosphere is so
people can decide whether
adversarial
it's
right
safe.
now.
I don't,
I don't know. I wanted to
I-
talk about.
Well,
it.
were
I
you,
do.
were you thinking this would be something that children attend in costume, or maybe just say, because that changes the mask situation if you're,
Right.
you know, because if you're just coming with your shirt that has a sparkly pumpkin, you can wear your mask too with that.
Exactly.
So that's something to, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what activities you had. Did you have any activities in
No.
mind yet? Or-
No,
Okay, just
I
haven't got.
Kind of got that date.
Don't want to invest in it.
reserved, and then was like, "Ugh, I don't know. Things are just so dicey right now. I don't know that it's the time to do something.
I think
wonder-
as long as you
I'm
let
open to
people
it.
know ahead of time what it's going to be. It's outdoors and you can decide whether you're going to require masks or not. But if you tell people ahead of time, this is what it is, they can decide for themselves whether they think it's safe for their
Right.
child to
And
attend or
then,
not.
you know, for me personally, an unmasked event would be unsafe for me to attend and for my family to attend. So
Oh, well,
if
then
it's
maybe you
something
don't
I'm
want to do
going,
it.
right, if it's something that I'm going to put together and be there, masks would have to be a mandatory thing, and I would need to have the support of the township to do that. So that's where I kind of, I don't know if
Well,
everyone feels about that. And, that's something. we're looking for.
it's been very controversial right now, and I would say that because it's outdoors, there will be people showing up without masks and expecting to not be in masks. So it's probably going to be a problem if you're the one
Right.
putting it on. So now I understand why you
And I
haven't done
just,
anything.
like, we just had a camping trip with Girl Scouts with 78 people from kindergarten to 12th grade. And every adult there was vaccinated. 90% of anybody over 12 was vaccinated. Everybody wore a mask. We were outside. We were doing physical activity. It was hot and uncomfortable, but it wasn't a problem. So I don't know, that kind of made me start thinking, maybe this would be a problem, or I don't know.
I don't know, but
I wonder if we
I'm-
could even give away masks.
there are
as-
people who will choose not to wear them.
Yeah.
We're dealing
Right,
with this in
right.
the district right now, so I will tell you, if she's not going to be comfortable with it being an outdoor event, I can almost guarantee there will be people showing up without masks.
Mhm.
I'm not Nostradamus, but I would guess that, so.
Right.
Well, we
and
can-
I-
Isn't that tonight at the Allegheny County Council meeting? for the-
No, that's for indoor events
I thought I heard it was. for
Well, outdoor of 250 people
or more, but
That's
this
what it
wouldn't
says.
be
Yeah.
that. So this is not going to
Right.
be required.
I think.
I know,
Maybe,
it's-
I would say, would it make sense to sketch this out as a mask? I don't know if we can make it mandatory, because you're not, how are you gonna turn away a
The town
5-year-old
is choosing to follow
without a
CDC
mask on?
Wait, she's saying
The
something.
town is choosing to follow CDC guidelines at this time.
Mhm.
So until guidelines change at this point, we would continue to follow those and, or if something changes at the county level. we would
Right,
go with that
so-
as well.
So that means unmasked. Could we get somebody else with you and you could be doing, this section with all the people who are masked, and some other adult could be over here with people who aren't masked? Could we do that?
I would be willing to do like behind the scenes planning and setting up. I mean, it's just, my mom has an autoimmune disorder and is in very bad health, and I'm not taking any.
Yeah,
chances.
we aren't
So-
expecting any
Right, yeah.
personal to be divulged. This is being
Right,
recorded, just so you know, so now everyone.
Everybody knows it's fine.
Okay.
But we definitely respect that and wanna, I wonder if it makes sense to maybe just without even making all the phone calls, but sketch out a plan for the evening in person, and should we sketch out a Plan B Zoom event? Just in case, because this is,
I think we need to find a second
5 weeks
person, because I think that people, especially with it being outdoors, will show up unmasked. So I think we need to, I'm
Well,
still
that's where-
sticking with
that's where-
you take care of the masked people here, and over here, somebody else.
well, I can tell you,
Or get it set up and have somebody else running it, is what you suggested.
Yeah, I mean, I know it would be.
If we can
happy
find
to
get
somebody.
her-
set something out
If,
there
is there
that-
anyone else viewing in on our
Dawn, please.
Dawn, I was hoping somebody from the community. I was going to try to rope somebody into
Well, there
being our
was
other person, our other volunteer.
a very enthusiastic volunteer just signed up last week. It's under the Mackenzie, I think her name was. It's a younger person who is, I had asked her kind of last minute about helping with the 5K. And she says, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I would love to do something. She was just got right back to me. And she said, please tell me whatever I can do. I'm really excited. I want to help out. So already in my head, I'm thinking her.
I'm willing to
interest
reach out to her and see if she would
is- Yeah.
be,
right.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
She's
that would be
very
great, because I
receptive.
would hate to cancel
Mhm.
the event. We're
Right, same.
trying to have more events, not less events. So I'd love to have this. I think it's great for the kids. In one of the probably last weekends, we'll be able to do an outdoor event. So I'd really like to do it. So that would be wonderful if you could reach out to Mackenzie.
So if you just want to sketch out some things, we can work on getting that proposal together, because there's something bigger like this would probably need to go through the town, especially with the next meeting's the 20.
The town council
Um,
meeting is the 27th. yes.
27th.
I'll get it to you before that. so
Yeah,
you can kind
yep.
of-
Okay, community day review. I'll say some things and then Trish could probably follow up. So Trish and I were both on the community day committee, and it was a wonderful, wonderful day in both the weather and in the events that we had. So it was just this past Saturday, September 11th, very somber in a lot of respects, knowing what happened 20 years ago. But we start out with with Hannah Oldman singing the Star Spangled Banner. We'd like to thank her right before kicking off our first event, which was the 5K, which we had quite a few people attend for it being our first 5K. I think that this is a good sign, and I know Trish worked hard on this, so it was a great event held at NAI, and it was a wide range of people. Was it 5 to
3 to 71.
3 to 71, 3 years old? I knew it was a really young age.
And
So
there was one grandma holding a baby too. Because she couldn't figure out how to open the stroller. So any grandma in the audience probably knows that feeling. She said, I'm just gonna hold her. It's just a mouth.
The best thing I saw were the fathers and sons that ran it together. We had
Yes.
like 3 or 4 sets of those, and it
It
was
was-
just so great to see them go over the finish line together.
a great family event as well as an individual event. So it went really, really well. And I think that there's a real future for this every year. So thank you for running that. The car cruise went really, really well also. The one thing we kept hearing is we need to have more people know about it. So we'd just like to mention that we all need to promote the events a little bit better and maybe get North Allegheny back to saying if it's a nonprofit, they'll do some advertising. They quit doing that, but I know I would love that. And so after that, we came back over to this area at Town Hall. And at 7 o'clock, we had a thank you to our local heroes, which would be our first responders and our veterans. And that was nice. And following that, we had Kat Tedder sing the national anthem. Also another, I'll tell you, we just have such talented students at North Allegheny. It was wonderful, both Hannah and Kat. And then the fireworks, there is no one who couldn't say that they were absolutely great. They really, really were. I mean, they lit up the sky, and it just really was one of the only things to bring a smile to people's faces on, you know, such a somber day. So Community Day was attended by hundreds of people, and next year we're hoping that we can go back to previous, what we had previously in community days, maybe have some more of our booths and vendors and rides and different things, but COVID has sort of put a damper on everything. And we'll see where we are next year, but I'd like to thank the whole committee and everybody who helped, because hundreds of people attended, and it was really a wonderful activity for McCandless. So we thank the town and the people on the committee. Anything else?
Yeah, I think Libby, you summed it up very well, and I think you know, we've already met as a committee on, you know, just the wrap up and what we could do better next year and moving forward. I think that's a really important part of this, is to keep improving and keep making it, you know, my hope is to someday make this like a destination thing. Like, there's so many other festivals. We're so lucky in the town of Pittsburgh to have so much going on all summer. And why not make this one of those ones people put on the calendar is my
Mhm.
goal in the
Mhm.
future. And I think we can do that. I think we've got the talent here and the resources, and just gonna need more volunteers as always.
Yeah, always can use volunteers, but we do thank, there were Girl Scouts, there were students from National Honor Society. There were volunteers that came out, so we absolutely thank them also for helping. Okay, moving right along, discussion of the possible community garden on Pine Creek Road. I know that we both attended that day. I think me more at the beginning and you more at the end. We both had some things going on, but this could be a really interesting, great thing. I always love donations. Donations are wonderful. And this person would be willing to let us use their land on Pine Creek. And it's a pretty big area. Was it 2 acres? How many acres? And we could do a lot of different things, but it had been suggested making it a community garden, possibly having a trail go through for, you know, bikes or a walking trail. So it's in a really good location. The land, it could be made to be accessible. I don't want to say that it's easily accessible right now, is how I would word it. And it is overgrown right now too. I mean, it's not like we could just put in a garden. It would really take some real work and big tractors to plow and do some things. So I'd like to hear everybody's thoughts on trying to do something as far as a community garden there.
And I can maybe add a little bit more detail. There's no natural water source. So that would be something that would have to be, you know, man-made. And the owner has some really great ideas and has a lot of contacts that he feels he could get people to do some of the excavating and digging and stuff. But I don't know, you know, what kind of cost would be associated with that. It seems like a really big project to get the land, like, and it's, when you stand there, it's stunning. It's just, you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere and you're 20 feet from Pine Creek Road, you know, so it's a wonderful piece of land, but it's definitely, it would be a lot of work. It would be a major project.
I mean, you'd
You know,
need
it's
big
so
tractors. This would not
Right,
be
like, I
something
couldn't
for
go in there
like
with
a
weed
little,
whacker.
oh my gosh, no. No, it
We're
would take
talking
a
maybe-
big farm tractor,
Right,
not even like
professionals.
a small,
Yeah.
smaller farm tractor. It would be a big one because
Right.
you had to sort of wind
There'd be
up
some
a
grinding
hill
and
and
stuff.
there was some real
Mhm.
slope and yeah, it was.
It would need to be done professionally.
Yes.
really.
Right.
Yes.
To be done, safely, and, I'm not sure, from a legal standpoint, I'm not clear on if he was like donating the land or donating the right to use the land.
The right to use the
or-
land
and
is what
then-
it was.
There's sort of like in my mind, I wonder who's the person who kind of says yes or no, who's the person everybody gets in touch with,
Well, he gave us
You,
his
another,
name.
project to do, you know what I mean? Like it seemed like there's a lot.
He was
to
not
put together.
donating the land, he was donating the use of it. He is keeping the land. I do think he had some friends who were willing to do some work for free. But the land was still going to belong to him so it's, and I will tell you, I love the idea of having a community garden, but I will also tell you that it would be costly. I mean, because you'd have to also get some topsoil, and they talked about we could compost there and so forth, which is great. But again, a lot of work and expense.
Right. And the
Expenses is something
potential
that,
is astounding. Like, we talked about, you could put a gazebo here
Mhm, mhm.
and benches here, and it could be an extra meeting, an outdoor meeting space. And
it was a
It's-
beautiful
oh,
area.
it is. It's just
Is it-
breathtaking to be there.
Is it a
but-
project that should draw in like Rotary clubs or Kiwanis clubs to potentially donate
So I
assets?
think that further down the line, when it's done, when the initial work is done, probably. But like the questions in my head are always like, when I'm thinking about it, like, who is going to be in charge of that?
Like if it's
Who-
not public land, it can't be a
Right,
town
like who's
resource.
going,
Right.
like if I want to go there at 11 o'clock at night, who's going to approve that or not approve that? Or,
Well, I
like,
don't,
all
yeah, I
those kinds
don't
of-
know that would be approved.
details.
Because
Right.
I think he's going to have some restrictions. He
Well, that's
would,
just it, like, if I decide I want to have my daughter's birthday party there, and you decide your daughter's birthday party is there, who's coordinating all of that?
I don't think it's even going to be able to be used for something like that.
Well, I'm
I
just saying,
think
like
this is
anything, or if I'm
more,
getting my senior pictures at 6 o'clock. Because that,
Right.
trust me, that would be a hot spot for senior
Yeah.
pictures.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I think he's more thinking of just making it
passive
a
recreation.
garden, not a recreational area. I
So it'd be
think he
passive.
was,
Well,
Yeah.
like, we did
Yeah.
talk about like, digging a pond and having some classes there. He knows people who've taught like horticultural classes and things.
Is he
You could come
starting
in.
his
He-
nonprofit?
yes, he
So
did
it
mention
was a
that.
little bit more than like just a garden.
Yeah.
There's
It's-
sort of big dreams, which are amazing, but then when I break it down to like the reality, I just don't know
Mhm.
from this committee what our job would be or what our position would be.
If it's
For
not
the
public
initial
land,
building.
our hands are very tied if it's not public land.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's not a nonprofit, if he's not looking to develop any kind of trust or things, that he's very limited in liability, as you
Right,
mentioned.
that's what I was thinking, liability, parking. Who's
Oh.
gonna bottom
What
line?
happens if someone falls and breaks their
And
leg
that's-
on the property
that's
when
something
they're
else.
walking?
And I
think
him-
Those kinds of things, right?
Zachary was taking some of those questions to the town solicitors and everyone's kind of pointed that. and
Sounds like we just got an answer there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe,
and what's to stop, $500,000 in improvements of the town's public works crews and our trucks and dirt and everything. And then he sells the property in 2 years and changes his
And
mind.
we couldn't go on his property without it being, I
Right.
mean, we aren't covered under workers' comp if it's not our.
Okay,
Okay.
so it would
Yeah.
completely have to be independent of the town.
he'd have to donate an acre of that land, I think is what
Yeah.
I'm really hearing.
I would want to verify again with the solicitor as well, but. we
That
would-
sounds correct, though. I've got to say, that makes sense to me. And
We can't
I
even
go
have
back
our
to the
trucks go
fear of
clear
what
snow.
happens if they sell it and they,
Snow is their town roads. I mean,
Yeah.
there's that
Right.
extension. So that's where I would feel that we would get held up.
Okay. So
Right,
I kind
isn't
of
that
see-
private though? Isn't Harmony on that end? Isn't that
I
still?
can't speak specifically, but a lot of those roads are town
Mhm.
roads.
Okay,
Or there are agreements with agencies for that purpose,
okay.
whether it's state or.
I know it never used to be plowed. I don't know if that's switched, but I know it was considered private years ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know
I
now.
wonder if this gentleman maybe needs to form a nonprofit and then start seeking the resource,
Because he would have to provide some kind of insurance.
right, and could do it under the umbrella of the nonprofit if he's, I don't know if he'd make a deed at easement. That's a lot of stuff for his
Right.
attorneys to figure out.
And I kind of see, like, as far as how it relates to this committee, that we would be more involved when this initial building and excavating and all of that stuff was done.
We might use
I
it to
don't think
host
that
something.
we have the volunteers who are committed
Oh,
to
no.
doing that.
No.
Or that
And 'cause
we
you
have the
need skills
resources to
Oh,
manage
this is-
getting
Right, it's
people
not just-
together to
right.
build it. I see us more on the end when, when that's
It
done.
is
to have
terrain.
things there
It's-
to
it's
bring
Yeah, I know,
not-
I know.
stuff like that. I just think that's a big.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we weren't really thinking of some of these aspects at the time. We were just looking at it, but,
Yeah, but it's like you think about you.
Yeah.
Well, you look at the garden, that's in North Park at Wildwood and Babcock.
oh,
It's so incredible, and there's so many volunteers that always work there, but there's still management by the university. By the
Oh,
entire,
absolutely,
That's
yeah.
exactly what I
And
thought
there's
it
still
is.
the entire Allegheny County Parks Department.
the bigger
Yeah, so
problem
there's a
is
huge
it's
management.
owned by the park.
Right.
I am seeing different points that really, he'd pretty much have to donate an acre of land to the township before I can see that. Okay, well, we'll check on
I
that
can-
because
I
who
can
knows,
look
he
at
might
it.
be willing.
If it
Um,
came
My
looking into
other-
that, I would leave it to that to move forward with it.
But she did ask for a summary of what we discussed, so
Okay.
I can.
Is there a McCandless Garden Club? I know there's an Ingomar.
They're
Garden-
an Ingomar one.
There's Ingomar one, right? There's not a McCandless.
And
Yeah,
I think
there's
the
an
Ingomar one, that is that corner there at
Uh-huh.
Ingomar and,
West Ingomar Heights
Yes.
Island, and
and I guess there's an actual war memorial there as well. But does the
There's been
town
one that's been
maintain that grass?
recognized. There's been one that's been recognized at council meetings.
Yeah.
the township worked very hard it used to be a swamp, just to let everyone know, that's actually very close to my house.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived there for over 50 years. And it used to literally be a swamp there, and the township sent in crews and made it a nice little area, and now the Ingomar
Very
Garden Club
attractive. Mhm.
takes care of it,
Maintain
and
it.
it's gorgeous now. It used to be an
But it
absolute
is
swamp.
donated, that land was donated, I talked to Jerry Hoffman about it.
Oh,
The land
yes.
was
Okay.
donated by a family many years ago.
Yes.
Okay.
To the town.
Yes,
That's gotta happen first, I think, is
Yes.
what
Well,
we're
and the other
hearing
thing,
here.
the way this is set up, there's a road, and one side of it is this land that he's willing, to let us use.
share,
And then the
yeah.
other side, there's a hill with woods, but you can kind of see through the woods and see their home.
Mhm.
So it'd be very close to their home, so I think they would really need to think about like what kind of boundaries and
Mhm.
having public
Right.
access to the same
Mhm.
driveway that they
Mhm.
use for their home.
yeah, I think we'd have to put in access from Pine Creek. There's a lot more to it than people might realize, but if he isn't willing to donate the land, I think nothing can happen, is where I think we are as we discuss this. Okay. Do we have a discussion of 2021 project activity ideas? Are there any other projects or activities on the horizon?
We talked about doing another bingo,
Yes.
hopefully in person, but I kind of think that that's probably not going to happen. And we're probably
And I love
looking
your
at
online
another,
bingo.
another
love it.
online virtual one.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of date?
Yeah, it was probably, because if we end up having the Treasures in the Trunk is October
Uh-huh.
And if the Halloween thing happens in October, I'm thinking, I was looking at Thursdays always seem to work out.
Yeah.
So I was looking either November 4th or 18th. Now, I technically will no longer be on the committee at that point, but I'd be willing to volunteer to either help a new person or I'd still do that event for you guys.
So now what is going on November 11th?
It is
Veterans Day.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
That's why I stayed away
Okay.
from there.
Yep. I knew there'd be something because I was just trying to look at these dates. So you guys will have to decide. I assume you two are doing the bingo again. I'm volunteering the two of you to do the bingo again. Maybe I should have said it with more force. I'm counting on you two to do the bingo again.
Well, there's some pros. I don't know who else.
I'm counting on her to
If somebody could help, if we had somebody else that helped, poor Chris, poor Trish.
We
with
still
the-
need a
with the
technology person.
technology.
Yeah, the technology
So that makes me nervous.
I
That
have
just,
a person in McCandless who's willing, they don't have really the time to commit to being on the committee, but they are very willing to
help like with that one event or
aspect of it.
something. because
Oh,
I
could you
just-
have them come that night? Give them those 2 dates, because if they could learn how to do that, that would save
That would
Trish and.
And we just, I just feel more
Um,
comfortable, because we're like the blind leading the blind in that. I mean, seriously, I mean.
And
Trish
it
does-
comes
she does a
across
fantastic
seamlessly.
job, but
I
there's been
think it comes
times where
across
we're
seamlessly.
losing the feed and I'm
And
like
I'm just
sweating
sweating.
bullets and we're both sweating. And it seems to me like it goes on for 10 hours and
Yes,
it's
I
probably
know.
like 30 seconds, but.
Yeah, it comes
you know,
across
it-
great.
it's, You know.
I
it's-
think
yeah.
you two are so
I
good.
recommend the 18th.
I'd say the 18th.
The 4th is planning commission, and so there
Is
was a
it?
meeting here at town hall.
Okay,
Well, you know, our first one was a turkey bingo. We can just do a turkey
Yeah,
bingo.
I think
again.
so.
That
And
was so
that
fun.
was popular and
yeah, I think.
we already have the trivia, you know, nobody's gonna
And the
remember
4th was
trivia from
close to
last
the
year.
24th anyway, so this gives us a little, so great. So November 18th, that's
Yep.
great. Another thing for you to get approved by.
I'll do,
Why is
I'll do a
planning on
form for.
Thursday? I'm looking at, let me make sure I'm on 21. Yes, I'm in the 21.
Oh, because Tuesday's the
calendar.
election day, that's why.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
The planning's moved over a couple of days.
Okay. So, a couple of these we might not have too much to report, but fitness court.
Yeah, there's nothing really happening there. Again, if you hear of anybody, we would love to work with somebody who is interested in doing classes. We can coordinate things. We can even charge some money for it and things like that, but we just need to have someone willing to be there teaching, who knows what they're doing and is familiar with the equipment, because I don't want anyone to be hurt.
Absolutely. Volunteer development, Dawn, I think I see she's online.
She's muted them.
She's muted.
I asked her to unmute when she muted herself again, so let me ask her again.
Thank you.
Yes,
Hi, Dawn.
how are you?
Good to have you.
Oh, I hope you can hear me clearly. I have sent out emails and outlining what needs that the committee had and what activities we were planning. So I've been doing that probably every 6 weeks. And so as I told Trish, there was only one gentleman who wanted to help at Community Day at this point.
Okay,
So, I mean, they are updated. I send them emails. So, and I always tell them that they could also come to the meetings, or Zoom the meetings. So, I think that's all I have to report. Oh, on a side note, which is probably not on the agenda, but the tennis clinic, Raj did a great job. And once again, I would really like, I think Trish did it already, to send a note to Kelly Sorbo, who
Yep.
donated like 14 rackets
Wow. Okay.
to the
Mm.
event.
I
So
remember.
she
Wow.
is not in McCandless. She's, Bradford Woods, but that was very generous on her part.
Do you remember how many participants Raj had for the tennis clinic? I haven't talked to him for a while.
Well, it went, well, I'm assuming 14. There was
Okay.
14 rackets. I mean, that's he got the number of rackets that the number of children that arrived. So that was great.
Nice.
So that he, actually sent him a nice text, and he did a great job, and he, needed very little help, just a little direction. So he did a great job.
Wonderful.
And I think he would plan another one, so that would be awesome.
Okay.
Great.
It'd be great to use these. Yeah, I think with the volunteers, it's hard because we don't have anything consistent or steady, but and I appreciate your emails out to them, Donna. We may,
No, I think,
we need to maybe like, I don't know, start
no,
strong arming some phone calls.
the problem is too, is I'm sure as everyone, you all have volunteered at other events and stuff, you might have something in your head that you really want to do. So I think this round of emails, I think I'm going to just throw it out to them and say, is there anything that you would like to plan? Instead of, because they might actually want to plan something. They might actually want to do, hey, fitness club, whatever. But I think I'm going to throw it out to them instead of me telling them, hey, this is the opportunities, which I will, but just throw it out to them and say, hey, is there anything you would like to plan?
And I think you do both, because
That's what we're going to do both. Yeah, as I
Yeah.
just said, we'll do both. So
Yeah.
if they want to do something within the community, whether it's a hiking club, whatever. So
because I know if you're leaving, if you aren't planning on running bingo, even with being off the committee, I think we're going to want to find somebody to volunteer to be in charge of bingo. I mean, that's an event. I think we want to do that every quarter. People love that.
And a lot of the design work has been done.
Right, it's not, it's not a big deal to do it now, because the work was in the beginning. Now it's just putting a flyer together and getting a couple trivia questions or something, but.
Well, you've done such an excellent job. We're really going to be sad that you're leaving the committee.
I'll still be around. I'll still be around.
Oh, like I said, we're counting on you doing that bingo until we have another, but okay, well, thank you so much, Dawn. I think we have no new news on meeting spaces or Channel 98 or the Joint Recreation Board.
Channel 98, they are, I think they're getting very, very close.
Oh, good.
They're in final conversations with the superintendent of NA soon, but I know, as you've mentioned before, there's been other distractions, unfortunately, taking the superintendent's time in the past couple of weeks. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get back to some sort of normal here soon.
Hopefully. Okay. Trish, back to you, council.
Okay, I'll just keep going with the Tech Advisory Committee. That is the folks who are in charge of the Channel 98 and helping that move forward. A couple of other things they're working on is software for the town, cameras in the parks, body cams. And I was reading the website, maybe, I'm not sure if Tricia knows more about, are they working on creating a new website for the town? It's more user friendly?
Yes.
Okay, that would be awesome. That way, that will help us too.
Right.
It's
Yes.
make it a quick 1-2 click for more information on the things that our town is doing.
Oh, good.
So hopefully
Good.
that's going to happen soon.
Good.
Moving on to the Environmental Advisory Committee. We think we mentioned that their cleanup is on October 16th is their big event coming up. As always, they do get a nice number of volunteers, but people are always encouraged to join in that. And finally, the Heritage Center. They also participated in Community Day and had a nice program about being the life of a World War II soldier that was well attended. They have a couple things coming up. See on September 23rd, an evening to talk about football heritage in our area. And then a rescheduled event called Growing Up with Baseball was happening on September 30th. That had to be rescheduled because of a power outage at the last one. And finally, they're making a decision tomorrow if they're going to do that notorious North Hills again this year. It is tentatively scheduled for October 28th if they are going to do it. But they're not sure with, again, pandemic, what's going to happen, what's going to be needed, if they're going to modify the event. But we'll know more about that tomorrow.
Okay. And any news with the welcome packet?
You know what, Pat was saying to Dawn, I don't know if she's still-
Yeah,
hey, we were talking about whether you still had a volunteer in mind to help with the cartoon, idea that someone, you were gonna get a volunteer to help create that out of McCandless. Is she there?
Dawn, do you have someone who
Her,
is,
she's her mic's off.
oh,
Muted herself.
Anyhow, I think that was the idea, and someone that, one of the students at North Allegheny High School that was gonna
Okay.
do that, but I.
we
think
know
she
we have
would do it.
talented students, so hopefully
Yeah.
she'll find somebody to help with that. Okay.
Can I
Well,
jump in on the welcome packet? I
Right.
sent along a proposal to add into the welcome packet. We're in the process of the budget for 2022. And things that, like the calendar, when we print it for 2022, we need to know how many we need to print, et cetera. And we have been printing enough to go into welcome packets, and we were kind of brainstorming on how that process was going and where we were with it. And so I came up with items to include in the welcome packet, and I didn't know if you had a chance to kind of look through that. I have other copies of that if you want to pass those along. And we kind of brainstormed on an idea of doing a welcome postcard as an introduction to the possible welcome packet that people could either stop by town hall and pick up if they want the physical packet, or within redevelopment of the website, that we could potentially direct them to the website where all of these items could be downloaded or accessed. It would cut down on printing, it would cut down on mailing costs and postage. And if we design the postcard right, we could even potentially put an ad on it, whether quarterly or annually, to help with some of those costs. And so I didn't know if this was something you all would consider as moving forward, but I wanted to find out where we were with the map and find out if we need to look into other resources for that to move this project into the 2022 activity structure. What this would require would be potentially that once a quarter or semi-annually, the committee or the volunteers would get together, put together roughly 50 packets so that we had them here at town hall. As people came to pick them up, the front desk would call and Bob or I would introduce ourselves to kind of give them a face with the township. So this is just some ideas to put out there as a possibility.
I just glanced at this. A, this is very nice, and B, I think all of these things should be in it. So this looks great.
I was gonna have a suggestion of one more thing to add.
Mhm,
This is
absolutely.
Actually not a expensive one either. Originally, when we were talking before, Terry, I think I mentioned, it'd be nice to have a little letter from their council person, so. it
From the
would be-
ward?
Yeah, from the ward, and that might be also the place where they say, okay, here's where you are in Ward, 1, District 1, because I can tell you, my neighbors don't know what ward or district they are in.
I asked the junior council person who his council member was, and we had to pull up the map and figure it out for him.
Okay, I've been to my house 100 times, and I go to his house every other week.
Because I should have known that. I said, uh-huh.
Yeah, people don't know. I just talked to a person at Community Day. They had no idea.
Yes, so
At
that'd
all.
be, and that would be a nice way, maybe just even for each council person, they wouldn't have to write it every time, but just once a year.
Just ones, yeah.
Say,
Yeah.
welcome, I'm your council person, here's how to get a hold of me.
Mhm.
And when it comes time to vote, you are in Ward so-and-so, and your polling place is. And that's
So
what
the
it's like.
school district calendar, they would get that when they register their child, but it wouldn't be a part of this packet, really.
But like, I know as an aunt, I like to pull up the school calendar to know when to ask for my nieces and nephews for sleepovers.
Yeah, I just know that they won't be handing out a bunch of
Yes,
bunch of
absolutely.
those
But this was an opportunity to potentially go to a hybrid model with the welcome packet to do something, semi-virtual, but they can still come and pick up the physical one if that's what they desire. So with this, we would reduce potentially the calendar printing or the town crier printings to try to save a little bit of overprinting.
Yeah, great idea. Great.
Dawn sent me a note text her. She said that her daughter Izzy is making the map, and her daughter is a creative artist, and she's making the map.
Oh,
That's
good.
awesome.
Good.
Great.
Thank you, Dawn.
Terry, was there anything else that you had in mind to go into this packet that you guys were kind of working towards?
Actually, we wanted to make it kind of fun to look at. So, and I'm very excited to hear that because that's what we're looking for, a student that, has an approach. It's, it's like looking at I don't know if you've ever seen anyone's maps that are made by the cat. You understand what I mean?
Yes, I
It's-
do, totally.
okay. And that was really the whole, because it's very, I don't know, it draws you into wanting to do it. And that was the whole point.
So then that is something that if Dawn's daughter is working on, we would potentially have for 2022
Yes.
early.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Because we'd like to do these at least. Joanne can work it in to her process in either an every other month kind of thing to get them out to new residents or, or earlier, depending on whether or not they come by to pick them up. But it would be on the website too, as like under new resident information to that point.
I
This
like
is
that.
a really
Great.
great
Yeah,
thing for
sounds
a
great.
volunteer to do that can happen during the, for anyone who's like semi-retired or something like that, to have 2 or 3 people that know what they're doing,
Right.
that just pop in one, first Tuesday of every month for 2 hours and knock
And she'll
these
have,
out.
she'll
Yeah.
have printed out the new
Right.
addresses. They can stick them on the postcards. They can put together new packets
Yeah.
and we can
I like
move
it.
on.
Okay, any public comment? I don't see anybody else on this besides Dawn. Adjourn.
Yes, that was a very productive meeting. Thank you, everybody.
I sent a note to that woman from Wayside. I'll give her a call by Wayside as well.
That's good.
What was the name of the one that we used? We used this one here at Town Hall. It was a coffee cart.